Hello, hello, hello. Welcome to Royal Sussex Live. Welcome, one and all. Thank you so much for being here. Let me see who was here first, just out of curiosity. Fancy, fancy. I think you're here first more than anyone else. I thank you for that. Emma D, Bunny Rose, Church Nelly, Vivian Green. Oh, and by the way, I don't think we'll be here more than an hour. Okay. Loretta L, thank you so much for being here. Susie Mom, thank you. Oh, thank you so much, Susie Mom. Thank you so much for being here. Okay. So I don't know if I'm okay to say this, but case closed. Case closed. There were a I guess the word is slurry, a pile, a stack of redacted sheets from the court. There was something totally misleading about the announcement um, that they were going to, um, I guess, tell all or whatever. Yeah, that was really jumping the gun. Um, and well, what could I say? They got it wrong. Oh, excuse me. Hold on one second. Okay, that's better. Um, I think I need one of those blessings from um oh. Yeah, where is my little blessings at? A Ricola. Yeah, that's what I need is a Ricola. There we go. I knew it was one handy. Okay. Thank you very much, Connie Balmer. Okay. Okay, Lady Windrush is here. Very good. All right, let's get on with it, shall we? So, Harry has been going back and forth with these people. Oh gosh, when did this whole thing start? Was it 2023? It's like the stuff of nightmares, you know. Just when you think you're free and clear, then here comes the Heritage Foundation with a bunch of nonsense. And it's always been nonsense. The thing is, had they been successful, had they been successful, it would have compiled so many problems for so many other people. And in some instances, people like even Pierce Morgan, who spoke about a very checkered past. Whether or not it's true, I really don't care. But the thing is, there's a lot of people that would have been incapacitated, so to speak, because of this nonsense that they were trying to drag up. So, and it is a real thing. I do remember when Amy Winehouse could not receive an award because of that. She had to do it via satellite or however they did it because of the very strict rules. And again, it's a bunch of nonsense. Um, going to be, you mean going to be right? Made public, America had a constitutional right to his privacy when it comes to his immigration status. William and Kate were hoping. Yeah, and that's the bottom line. It would cause a lot of problems. it would cause a lot of problems. And it wouldn't have been um it would have been a big court thing. It would have meant court. And and speaking of which, court, weren't they the same people? I'm just saying in general, a lot of those monarchists, royalists, and such, aren't those the same people that were complaining about Harry's court costs? How Harry is costing the British public a lot of money because of his court cases. That Harry is costing the British subjects of Charles, the tax-paying citizens, that he was costing them so much money because of these court cases. Well, if that's the problem there, should we be any less offended by how much money the Heritage Foundation is wasting? Because every time they bring this up, then that means that the federal government has to go to court. The federal government is in court. It costs money. It's not a freebie. It's not people whose 9 to 5 job is waiting around in case there's some frivolous lawsuit involving the federal government and the freedom of information where someone's immigration status is concerned. So, no doubt, it's a great relief to the Sussexes because, first and foremost, there are children involved. And what kind of people would want to cause so much grief and such headaches in the unlikely, and I do stress, the unlikely event that there would have been the unspeakable? Okay, I don't even want to say the words. In the unlikely event, because the American people have a right to know. When you look at the person who occupies the White House right now, are we actually in an environment where that is the most serious thing in the world? Is that the environment that we're in? And as I've said so many times, you guys, I don't put anything past that heretic in the White House, but he does not have a great deal of interest in Prince Harry or Meghan for that matter. And even though Meghan had mentioned misogynist years ago, people have said a lot worse. And at this point, I couldn't imagine that keeps him up at night. I don't think it ever kept him up at night. And then the whole thing about Harry is that there's always a provocation. The Orange Menace did not campaign on Prince Harry's status. He does not care about Prince Harry's status. But anytime he's speaking to a member of the British press, then they kind of goad him into discussing it. And of course, being as self-important as he is, of course, he has to have an answer for everything. So it's all part of a scripted conversation. And those conversations are scripted. The so-called liberal media, they don't ask those questions. It is only the tabloids. It is only the right-wing media. And there is usually, if not exclusively, some member of the British tabloid media asking the question. Trump does not care about that stuff. He does not, because it does not change anything for him. He's a very selfish, self centered individual. And it's not a thing that is a popular conversation. It's only interesting amongst the derangers. So they have gotten as much mileage out of it as they possibly could. Um, yeah, it's just I hope that this is the end of it. I pray that there's not some, you know, um, resurrection of the nonsense again. And of course, as I said before, in all likelihood, it had no place to go. There was no place for it to go. So take a look here. Bum, 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 bum. Bum, 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 bum. They can't touch us. Bum, 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 bum. They can't touch us. Bum, 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 bum. Yeah, I was kind of thinking that I could just, in my mind's eye, I could kind of see Harry, kind of bopping along like what's his name? Kendrick Lamar. I could see Harry just kind of, strutting along like Kendrick Lamar. Dun, 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 dun. They can't touch us. Dun, 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 dun. You know what I'm saying? They ain't like us. They can't touch us. So yeah, I thought I would have a little fun with that. So it's not exactly the Super Bowl halftime, but you get the point. Hey, Lydia Washington. Let me see. Carmen Capella says UK should be talking about Trump's interests and fight with over Canada, and Canada, Greenland, and Denmark. Exactly. Those are the big issues right now. That is where they should be um, concentrating right now. This is such a trivial matter. I think it takes a really sick person. Though to me, my thoughts is this: what kind of person takes glee over the idea that you could potentially, albeit unlikely, tear a family apart or cause a family to uproot and move, right? To cause anxiety to people that have already unfairly been targeted by a media machine. Who does that? Who does that? And takes such glee in it? If you ask me, it is the same kind of person who would write an article about women at the Hub Kitchen, implying that they have some kind of terrorist connections, which certainly did not exist. A person like this, a person like this, who, by the way, is, um, I believe she is a member of the Heritage Foundation. That's right, Camilla Tominey. Camilla Tominey. She's right there in league with those people. She's in cahoots with those people. I just it's just pitiful. It is pitiful. The fact that it's not like, okay, I'm just a little content creator, okay? I'm not in a big foundation that's been around all these years. I'm not on a nationally televised show. None of that stuff. But for those who are, the idea that you are trying to create some tidal wave of discontent for someone uh, that wrote something in a book that happened years ago, that may or may not have been in um, his visa application. We don't know. We, in all likelihood, will never know. Ah, thank you, Lydia Washington. I had fun with it. Okay. So we'll get back to that, but let's have some beauty to look at for the time being. That I suspect is the stately palatial Montecito Manor um, of the Duke and Duchess of Sussex. And of course, that is on the As Ever Instagram. And it says daily rituals. And as you can see, Megan is out there collecting vegetables from the garden. Yeah, I suspect she has vegetables from the garden. That's got to be a good thing. That I'm sure that feels amazing to be able to do that. And then there's was this one. Love this one. This was on the Megan Instagram. Remember, I told you guys you have to check them both. When your dear friend from middle school sends you something from your alma mater and it brings the biggest smile to your face. Go Pandas. Let's see. Thanks. Shh. Okay. Thanks. I'm not sure I'm saying it right. And there's a hug and a kiss and a heart. So, yes, that is young Megan. Yeah, that is young Megan. Would that be the what school is that? Was that the Sacred Heart School? Sacred Heart Academy? I forget what they call it. But yeah, very sweet. Wow. Look at little Megan there. How adorable. I love that. And then take a look here. Meghan Markle reacts to her high school sharing a rare throwback pic on Instagram. Biggest smile. The Duchess of Sussex revealed that a friend, excuse me, sent her the image from Immaculate Heart. Oh, that's the school, the Los Angeles school that she attended. Yes, Immaculate Heart. And it goes on to say, okay, let me get this going here. Yes, it goes on to say Megan's Immaculate Heart schoolmate told People in 2016 Megan was really charismatic and was a very hard worker and very focused and could tell, I'm sorry, and you could tell she was going to do something special with her life. Megan returned to school for an episode of her podcast, Archetypes, which aired in 2022. Oh my gosh, how funny. My locker was right over here, she said in the episode. I was somewhere smack in the middle. I don't remember because these are your lockers when you're in school, in high school, and the middle school lockers were up there. And then it goes on to say Prince Harry's wife said, "You heard me talk about Immaculate Heart on the series before and the influence it had on my life. And look, I was there from ages about 12 to 17, which are really formative years in your life. They certainly were for me. And let me just say, being back here, there, and let's see, the energy it was palpable. I was happy to be back there, and it was also really fun, especially when I made a surprise visit and popped into some of the young ladies' volleyball practice. Wow, that must have been surreal to just like show up and you're having volleyball practice, and all of a sudden there's um, Meghan, the Duchess of Sussex. That has got to be surreal. Let's see. And it also goes on to say the Duchess of Sussex also made a surprise commencement speech to the graduating class of her alma mater in 2020, where she addressed the absolutely devastating George Floyd and the social unrest in the wake of his death. Um, she had, oh, I remember that. I remember that. It was not in front of an audience. It was, I think it was a Zoom call or something like that. Either that or she recorded it. Okay. Anyway, the rest of the article the is in the People magazine. Okay, let's continue then. So right here, Immaculate Heart graduates the Duchess I'm sorry, congratulates the Duchess of Sussex on her Netflix series and her upcoming podcast. Congratulations to Immaculate Heart alumna Meghan Markle. And I think, what is that, year 99, 1999? On the renewal of the Netflix series and launch of her new podcast. We're delighted to share a special throwback photo from her time at Immaculate Heart, honoring our cherished tradition of Mary's Day, reflection of our legacy of sisterhood, support, and panda spirit. As we begin preparing for this year's Mary's Day celebration, we proudly carry forward the tradition that makes our school community so special. Cheers to that. All right. Hey, Sherry Ware. By the way, I got a thing today from the official Royal Sussex wish list. Thank you so much. I was not expecting that, but it is absolutely beautiful. The quality exceeds my expectation, and it was just the little pick me up I needed at that moment. So thank you very much. It says, "Happy belated Valentine's Day. In all the craziness, I was oh, thank you so much for that. All right. Oh, that is beautiful. But I mean, I'm embarrassed, but thank you. I am. This It was very sweet. I wasn't expecting that today, and it is so beautiful. It exceeds. I mean, the quality is so much better than I expected. So thank you so much. It looks like something I had like this years ago, and unfortunately, it walked away. If you understand what I'm saying, it kind of walked away from me. And anyway, I really do appreciate this. It's absolutely beautiful. And if that's not enough, I don't think well, okay, I won't say who, but somebody sent a box from Switzerland. Huh? I received a box from Switzerland, and that was a surprise. I was just like, "Oh, I know where this came from." I didn't even have to open it. So, anyway, I don't think the Switzerland person is here yet, but that was. I mean, I got to take a picture so I can share with you guys at least a few things that was in the box. But wow. Okay, so thank you. What a nice surprise today. I was surprised. I was definitely surprised. Hey, soul brother, Reba Henderson, CK. Okay, so let us continue here. Now back to this. So the Daily Mail did not waste any time. Duke's dossier dump. Now, you guys, they were trying to do the most. They were trying to do the most. If you look at this, you would think that it was just like, um, oh gosh, let me see, dossier. You would think it was the Watergate tapes, okay? You would think that it was, oh, come on, give me a comparison. You would think it was something so much bigger than what it was. Like I mean, they really wanted to reel people in with this. And if you knew nothing about the Heritage Foundation and that nonsense, you would think that Harry had got caught with his hand in the cookie jars. You know what I'm saying? They probably got some really good mileage out of this non-story, to be honest with you. But they tried it. They tried it. And anyway, much to do about nothing. If I can quote William Shakespeare, it was much to do about nothing. That's it, and that's all. And we are going through the same national abusive boyfriend that we had back in 2016 to 2017 to 2021. The international abusive boyfriend, Donald Trump, um, who loves to distract from his shortcomings by, I don't know, releasing the Kennedy files, which, from what I hear, there's no new information, none whatsoever. And they would make a big front, well, okay, big headline story, the dossier dump, even though the article tells you that there's nothing there, that it's a non story. And all they have to show for it is this one redacted page after the other, one after the other. They never intended to release that information. So, how did they get this notion that there was going to be something more, that there was going to be um, answers to the big question of was there favoritism given to Harry for his visa application? In case anyone has forgotten, I do believe that when Harry came to the United States, Donald Trump was president. Donald Trump was president. That was Donald Trump's Homeland Security border control. Donald Trump's, not Joe Biden. And I'm sure a lot of people are assuming that Joe Biden gave him some type of favorable treatment. It wasn't Joe Biden, it was Donald Trump in office. One almost forgets that, but they came here back in 2020. Yeah, they came here back in 2020. And it was a whole nother year before Biden went into the White House, a whole nother year. But in spite of that, of course, Biden's White House did not want to give anything because it's unlawful. It is literally breaking the law. It is unlawful. But uh, the judge erring on the side of caution, looked at it, didn't see any anomaly there, and said, no, you're not going to see anything. And so then, of course, the big question, was there favoritism? If there was, it was coming from the Trump White House. So that means no. And on top of that, even if it was Biden, he was not going to show any favoritism. He wouldn't have done that. So, March 15th, 2025, minute order pursuant to the court's 58 order, the government has provided the court with its proposed redactions to the documents identified in that order, those redactions appearing appropriate. The government is ordered to lodge on the docket and redacted version of those documents no later than March 18th, 2025, signed by Judge Carl J. Nichols on 3/15/2025, so March 15th, 2025. So let it be written, so let it be done. It is over. And what they have is static, just a bunch of static, white noise, the kind of white noise that helps soothe you to sleep at night, right? Kind of like shh, that kind of white noise. That's it. End of. Nothing else to add to it. Now, let me see. Declaration from officer at the department. See the notice compliance with the those declarations describe the record that each entity had located in response to the heritage's requests and provide further information regarding the basis for the government's arguments for withholding or not confirming or denying their existence. Of particular relevance here, those declarations and documents reflect that, and then it's just all a bunch of, by the way, I am looking at this here on the left side, and then it's all, you know, of particular relevance here. Those declarations and documents reflect none of your damn business. Okay? Case closed. That's it. Now, let's get on to Gwyneth Paltrow. Deadline says Gwyneth Paltrow on Meghan Markle's attempt, I do not like that wording, attempt to enter the Goop universe with Netflix series. There's always enough to go around. Now, I don't know what the Goop universe is, but might I remind people of a home style, and I believe, did B. Smith own a restaurant? Anyway, it's a lot of people's universe. But to say Goop universe, this is an attempt to pit one woman against the other. That's all this is. It is to goad you into believing that somehow Gwyneth Paltrow may feel a bit resentful of this idea that Meghan is coming for her universe or coming for her niche. I don't know if you've heard this or not, but Gwyneth Paltrow's products, from what I hear, are a bit quirky and awfully expensive. A lot of things is stuff that you don't need and will, you know, and I don't know this firsthand. I just know what I heard. So recollections may vary, but it is not in any way, or Meghan's, lifestyle show. There may be the odd similarity someplace here or there, but for the most part, not. They're two very different people, and I'm I'm more than certain, without even going into the whole Goop universe, I'm more than certain that they're on a completely different path. Whatever similarities, they're on a completely different path. And by the way, you're welcome to go over and look at Goop and see um, what the differences are. But it's just a bunch of hooey. It's just a bunch of hooey. And it's an attempt to pit one woman against the other, to create some type of drama where honestly none should exist. Um, and then there was that very controversial Goop product where Gwyneth Paltrow, let me put it to you like this. Um, what is that famous motorway in New York where you drive through it? Um, I'm trying to say it without saying it, but that was one of the big things about Gwyneth Paltrow's Goop, and yeah, let's just say the Holland Tunnel, right? Yeah, the Holland Tunnel. Let's imagine Gwyneth Paltrow standing at the entrance of the Holland Tunnel, and I'll say no more. But you, I can assure you that our Duchess is not going in that direction. Okay? Our Duchess is not going in that direction. I'm just going to say it for her, because I know she's not. Again, they're on a very, very different path. There are products, there's a lot of personal touches, but if you Google Goop, um, it doesn't take a lot of imagination to see what I'm talking about. Um, uh, yes, yes. Okay. So, what does it say here? But that's what I'm trying to say, is that they're not on the same path. They're not. I'll just tell you for certain, they're not on the same path. So it goes on to say Gwyneth Paltrow has said she welcomes Meghan Markle's attempt. Oh God, that word attempt to become a lifestyle influencer. Oh, these people are trying my nerves. They're trying my nerves. They say this, and it is deadline, so they say this like the TIG did not exist, and I know they know better. I know they know better. But let's play along. Attempt to become a lifestyle influencer with new Netflix series with Love Meghan, but she has yet to engage with the show. But she has yet to engage with the show? What is meant by that? What is meant by that? It went straight into the top 10. So engage who? I don't understand how that is being used. She has yet to engage with the show. In an interview with Vanity Fair, Paltrow was asked how she feels about competition from the Duchess of Sussex having established Goop as a lifestyle and wellness empire over the past 17 years. Okay. Goop as a lifestyle and wellness empire over the past 17 years. Now, I did not know that Goop has been around for 17 years. I had no knowledge of Goop being around for 17 years because there is nothing very mainstream about Goop. The only thing that ever really put Goop on the map was Gwyneth Paltrow standing at the entrance of the Holland Tunnel. That's it. If it wasn't for her standing at the entrance of the Holland Tunnel or whatever that place is, I would have never heard of it. I would have never heard of it. So I was raised to see other women as friends, not foes. She told the magazine, I think there's always more than enough to go around. Everybody deserves an attempt at everything that they want to try. Now, I'll accept her saying attempt. The show has been renewed for a second season. Maybe maybe this interview happened before the release of With Love Meghan. Okay, let's just give the benefit of the doubt. Maybe this interview took place before the release of With Love Meghan. And so, speaking in terms of attempt on Gwyneth Paltrow's part, okay, maybe that's just the way she saw it. But when it comes to deadline, when it comes to the person doing the interview, I think they were trying to be shady. Uh, okay. So, oh, all right. So if she doesn't have a show, if she doesn't have a show, well, I guess the only reason why they're making this case is because Meghan is going to partner with Netflix. Maybe it's that partnership with Netflix that gives it that connection of, like I said, I don't see the fuss. I don't get the fuss of it. Martha Stewart, Martha Stewart, um, I would think that Martha Stewart would be a lot closer in terms of what they have going on in terms of products from As Ever. I would think Martha Stewart would be a lot closer. But again, certainly not the same thing. And Rachel Ray, I have Rachel Ray dishes. Rachel Ray had a product line or has a product line, but they really want this perceived competition between Gwyneth Paltrow and Megan Sussex. I think it wouldn't satisfy them to use or invoke the name Martha Stewart. I don't think they would be satisfied with most of the other people that have somewhat similar lifestyle things going on. I think they want a war between Paltrow and Sussex. It's not going to happen. Gwyneth Paltrow is not interested in that. 17 years, she's defined her place. And in terms of the Duchess of Sussex, I'm a bit resentful because they're ignoring the fact, and I'm speaking of the magazine or deadline or whatever, they're ignoring the fact that the TIG was a real thing. And I don't like that. Okay, you know what? You make a great point. You make a great point. She spoke to Vanity Fair and not Deadline. So you make a great point. Absolutely. I get it. And that is a great point. And they are, in all likelihood, reframing the original interview. So, okay. Let me see here. Yeah. Well, I think they're trying to stir up conflict where none exists. So right here, oh, let me pull this one up there. It says, oh wait, why can't I see it? Okay, Gwyneth Paltrow is on the cover of the Vanity Fair, and in her interview, she commented on Meghan. I don't know Meghan and Harry. I mean, I've met Meghan, who seems like a really sweet person, but I don't really know her. Maybe I'll try to get past their security and get a pie. Okay. Um, she also hasn't seen the trailer for Markle's Netflix series with Love Meghan, but Paltrow defended the Duchess. When there is a buzz around certain women in culture, I always have a strong instinct to support them. She says she welcomes Meghan and any other of Goop's successors. Uh, okay. Into the lifestyle space with open arms. I was raised to see other women as friends, not rivals, says Paltrow. I think there is always enough for everyone. Everyone deserves a chance to try whether they want. To try what I'm sorry, whatever they want. Uh, you know what? I'm just gonna have to um, dig out that Vanity Fair and go through it with a fine tooth comb. You know what? Vanity Fair is such a shady magazine, and I vow never to buy another one. Yeah, and okay, and I'm sitting here thinking right now, is that the tone that Gwyneth Paltrow is using, or is that the wording from the Vanity Fair? Even though supposedly they're quoting her, but sometimes they change the mood of the interview when it goes into print. So I don't know. I detect I detect a little shade. Um I don't have any firsthand knowledge of that, so I don't know which came first. And it I don't know that I've said anything about whether or not I'm just saying the deadline ignores the fact that the TIG existed, right? So I don't know who came first or who influenced the other. I don't think I've made any reference to that at all. But what I'm saying is there's been so much, not just Deadline, but there's been so many people that have downplayed the TIG. They make it sound like Meghan has only just come to just become a foodie, that Meghan is pretending to be a good cook, and that almost like she's never cooked before. So, with all due respect, I did not say anything about whether the TIG was influenced by Goop. I don't recall saying anything about that. Not at all. So I'm not sure. I'm not sure. But I don't think I said anything about whether one influenced the other. And if that is the case, that's fine. But I'm speaking in terms, excuse me, my voice. I'm speaking in terms of the press with this idea that Meghan is new to lifestyle, not Gwyneth Paltrow. I'm not accusing Gwyneth Paltrow of that. I'm saying that the press is making this idea um, circulate that Meghan is new to the lifestyle. And I don't like the word attempt. I don't. I don't like the wording attempt. It sounds a bit patronizing to me. Oh, you know what? Now you make a good point. I bet Gwyneth thought the interview would be about her. Okay. 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 That makes a lot of sense. And it is a bit frustrating that and what's her name? Uh Mindy Kaling. Mindy Kaling, you could tell that she has been a bit bothered. Mindy Kaling had, she didn't hide it. She just openly said that they asked me to do an interview and all they want to talk about is Meghan. And so I don't know if that is has anything to do with why this sounds a bit condescending to me, but I just don't like the word attempt. I really don't like that. And whether it came directly from Paltrow or whether it came from whoever did the interview, I just don't like this idea attempt. And I don't like this tone that they make it sound like Meghan is new to the idea of lifestyle. Let me see. The royal family had Meghan delete the TIG, so forgetting the TIG existed is on purpose to minimize Meghan's past successes. Right. Right. Yeah. It just sounds a bit snarky and condescending to me. And again, I I should take a look at the Vanity Fair. I'll take a look at the Vanity Fair directly, but it sounds a bit condescending. And I will be open-minded enough to the idea that maybe that's not the tone used by Gwyneth Paltrow. Sometimes when they write the article, it comes out a little different from, the way you said it during the interview. Sometimes it just comes out a little different. Although there's another little part of what I just read that I'm got a little bit of a hang up with, but I'll tell you what, I'm going to keep it to myself for right now. Maybe you can figure out what it is. Maybe you can't. But I have another little hang up. There's another little part that's bothering me, but I don't want to say what it is because I don't want to help this pitting one person against the other. But there's another little part of that sounds a bit snarky to me, and and I do believe it came from Paltrow. So anyway, I'm gonna leave it alone for now. I'm gonna leave it alone for now. But for the most part, like she said, she believes in being friends and supporting other women. So let's just take that at face value and go on from there. And probably a lot of people that are giving interviews lately are being deceived into believing that they are the real subject of the interview when the truth is they only want to talk about Meghan. uh yeah, That's what I'm saying. That's what I'm saying. I don't know. That's what I'm saying. I just think that there was but let's face it, Gwyneth Paltrow has a reputation for being a bit of an oddball. Yeah, she does have a reputation for being a bit odd. Um, and everything I've ever heard about Goop has always been kind of quirky, right? Kind of quirky, as though it's kind of like a bohemian hippie type of but you got to be a very rich bohemian and a very rich hippie to partake in the Goop universe, right? It's not for someone who is poor and eccentric. It is for a very wealthy eccentric person, a person of means. Oh, yeah, well, that could be problematic, right? If they're asking everybody about Meghan. Yeah, that could be a bit of a problem. I don't know. You mean Iron Man, right? Not Batman, Iron Man. Yeah, because she's in the what do you call it? The Marvel universe. Okay, okay. All right. So I don't see the word attempt in the Vanity Fair article. Well, thank you, Little Mac. Like I said, when I have the opportunity, I'm going to go and check it out. But I'm going to just, be open minded and assume that because Deadline has, it can be very shady too, that they're probably using that language and not Gwyneth Paltrow. Oh, yeah, Pepper Potts. Thank you for that. Thank you, Joyce. Thank you very much. Okay, let's move on. So, Gwyneth Paltrow on Meghan in her Vanity Fair interview. I love the fact that she didn't take the bait, but what I don't understand is why are celebrities being asked about Meghan when these people are promoting their own stuff? Now, those words came from one of the squatties, and that is, in all likelihood, an issue. That is an issue. Um, I mean, after all, people give of their time to go on a talk show because they're promoting something. If you're going to sit down for an interview, it's not because you're old friends, because you want to promote something. And I would feel a bit awkward if I'm trying to promote something and all you keep asking me about is, questions like, do you see Meghan over your shoulder? Are you nervous about Meghan? What do you think about Meghan? That is another one of those Meghan effects. Clearly, that is another Meghan effect. So, um, that can be problematic. So, yeah. Okay. Well, again, these are the words of one of the squatties who said that she did not take the bait. So, I will investigate on my own, and I'm pretty sure that it was no real shade directed toward Meghan, but those that edit and publish are probably trying to make it into something that it really should not be. So, okay, okay. Okay. Moving on. Redacted. Redacted. With confidential or sensitive information removed or hidden, if a court decision contains protected information, it may not be released immediately due to the need to prepare a redacted version. And just to share what that means, it pretty much means you just take a big Sharpie and you just back and forth across the page until pretty much you have nothing to look at. And that's what a redaction is. It was redacted. And redacted, I mean, it looks like this. It looks like this. You can see more of Niall's forehead than you can the page. Parties who do not have permission from the beneficiary to receive this information, and I do believe that means if Harry doesn't give it to you, then you have no right to it. To release such information would potentially expose the individual to harm from members of the public who might have a reason to manipulate or harass individuals depending on their status in the United States. Further, the USCIS determined that to release these specific information for the Duke, blank, 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 to release his exact status could subject him to reasonably foreseeable harm in the form of harassment as well as unwanted contact by the media and others. Now, that's some very interesting wording. That is some very interesting wording. But what does that mean? What does that mean? There is zero accountability and transparency in this heavily redacted documents released today. The American people have a right to know whether Prince Harry lied regarding his extensive illegal drug use on his U.S. immigration application. Now, those are the words of Niall Gardner. Niall Gardner, who is such an ultra right winger, hanging out with the likes of Liz Truss, Niall Gardner, who may be the only other human being in the world that has a head larger than Camilla Tominey. Niall Gardner, he has been doggedly pursuing this matter for a few years now. And he is terribly frustrated that it has not yielded the results that he wanted. So, was it redacted or was it redacted? Was it redacted or was it redacted? That's what I need. I need Oprah to ask him, was it redacted or was it redacted? I need Oprah to ask him that question. Was it redacted or was it redacted? Which is it? What say you, Niall Gardner? Was it redacted or was it redacted? See, it's all in the way you say it. It's all in the wrist. Yeah, it's all in the wrist. In the wrist, rather. uh, and of course, take a look here. Heritage Events Live. The Crown Under Fire. Why the left campaign to cancel the monarchy and undermine the cornerstone of Western democracy will fail. So these people see the monarchy as the cornerstone of Western democracy. The monarchy, which takes in the money from the sovereign grant and use it as they will, and then that whatever money. Oh, I don't even want to try to figure that pyramid scheme out again. But that monarchy, the monarchy where Charles could never be called to be a witness in a court of law because he is exempt from being a witness. He can never be called into a court, right? Charles, who is above the law. If that is the cornerstone of Western civilization, that a person is above the law, maybe I'm living in the wrong Western civilization. But you can see how their minds work. These are all monarchists, royalists, and they believe in this whole aristocracy and ruling class thing. And that is to the exclusion of most working class people. In other words, you can never be one of them. And people like Camilla Tominey is a gatekeeper. She's a gatekeeper. And they just could not stand the idea that Meghan, the American, the actress, the independent woman, smart, bright, well educated, they could not stand the idea that she would interrupt the long line of Stepford wives that they have cultivated in that royal family. The last time someone didn't fit in, well, we all know what happened, and it had something to do with a tunnel in Paris. When you don't fit in, they try to destroy you. So denied, get a life, loser. Enjoy the pits of hell. Now, how the press spreads misinformation about Prince Harry's visa record. The Heritage Foundation, a conservative think tank, is pushing to access Prince Harry's U.S. visa record. Their argument comes from his memoir, Spare, where he admitted past drug use. They claim he may not have disclosed this on his visa application and determined to know if he received special treatment. Again, when the Sussexes arrived, it was under Donald Trump. During the time of Joe Biden, they did not get any cooperation whatsoever. The judge actually looked at the visa and didn't see anything worthy of a public disclosure. It just was not in the public's interest. And so that was that. Yeah, we don't need that. Media outlets like CBS has issued editor's note correcting false claim that Prince Harry's visa records were being released. Niall Gardner's misinformation is making reputable news sources look unreliable. So it has been alleged that CBS, along with other media outlets, believed that there was going to be some type of release of information. It turns out that that was a false claim. And it would appear that that false information came from Niall Gardner. He whipped everybody up into a frenzy. And all of the media, including the American media, of course, were waiting for the shoe to drop today, only to get a bunch of redacted pages. And so, again, CBS have issued editor's note correcting false claims that Prince Harry's visa records were being released. That was wrong. That was misinformation. And we know where it came from. They were so desperate. They were so desperate to go after Harry, to try to ruin Harry's life, that somebody jumped the gun. Somebody jumped the gun and said that they were going to release the information. Even CBS assumed that it was actually going to happen. It did not. This is weird. This is very weird. So Feminegra says the push to reveal Harry's visa record is not about immigration fairness. It is a political stunt designed to create outrage and set a dangerous legal precedence. It is about outrage. And it would be a very dangerous legal precedence because there are a lot of very powerful people. If they set a precedence, meaning, of course, if there is a court that would have gone along with the Heritage Foundation, it would have had so many people's personal lives upended or potentially upended because it would have set a standard saying that yes, because if you do it to Harry, do understand this. If they would have done that to Harry, if they would have divulged his personal information, you would have to do it for everyone. You would have to do it for everyone. There would be a case to go into so many other people's personal records. And this idiot was willing to risk not only upending Harry's life, but hundreds, if not thousands of other people. Everyone would potentially be subject to that same scrutiny. And that is what I don't get that. I think that people that vote for Trump, people who voted for Trump are so short-sighted. They don't realize that once you open up that door, once you open up that can, or as they say, you can't put the genie back in the bottle. You cannot unring that bell. And the potential of affecting other people, other innocent people, would be incredibly high. And nobody is interested in that except for the Heritage Foundation. I mean, they are literally playing with fire. All of this with the attempt to humiliate Harry for what? For what? And you're so right. You're so right. The Osborns and the Beckhams. And of course, as I said earlier, Pierce Morgan. Pierce Morgan um, said that he did some stuff in his youth. Now, maybe it's true, maybe it's not true, but I'll tell you what I know to be exactly true is that Pierce Morgan, the Beckhams, the Osborns, and a whole lot of people, they especially people from Britain, they love to come over here and get those Yankee dollars because there are so many things in the media here in the United States, whether it's print, television, podcasts, all of it pays a greater amount of money. You, if you have any kind of sense, you want to keep that door open to the US. And they would close that door, potentially close that door for a lot of people, just to target Harry for what? For what? In February, President Trump ruled out deporting Harry, saying he would leave him alone. I don't know that that would be his call in the first place, but let's play along. Adding he's got enough problems with his wife. She's terrible. Meghan has been a vocal critic of Trump. I only know of one time where Meghan mentioned Trump. And that was years ago. That was years ago. Most Americans dislike the idea of celebrities being treated differently from everyone else. And Harry's fame and profile makes this case the ideal window into DHS conduct. The Heritage Foundation's Gardner argued if the DHS, Department of Homeland Security, granted Harry special treatment, the implications are obvious. It has likely granted such treatment in the past to other sufficiently famous or sufficiently political aligned and would likely continue to do so. The Department of Homeland Security did not exist before 9/11. I repeat, the Department of Homeland Security did not exist before 9/11. A lot of these people have been around much longer than that. So they make it sound like we're talking about the State Department, or we're talking about FEMA, or we're talking about, give me another one, the United States Marshals. But we're not. We're talking about Homeland Security. And the first few years of Homeland Security, their authority overlapped some of the other federal departments. And so, under each president, their role has been defined in different ways. Because when it first started, they put every department under Homeland Security. Every department head had to answer to Homeland Security. They changed that quickly. So there's the editor's note. There's the editor's note. This story has been updated to reflect that court documents related to Prince Harry's immigration status have been released. An earlier version of this story incorrectly stated the release would include immigration records. It did not. Yeah, they made a mistake. They made a mistake. They got nothing. They got absolutely nothing. So, Ryan, was it Mulvey? This story from the USA Today, as well as other sources like NBC News, is completely wrong and requires a correction. Judge Nichols has not ordered Prince Harry's visa application to be released. It didn't happen. Last September, Judge Nichols denied the Heritage Foundation motion for summary judgment, upheld the government's withholding, and sealed his opinion. a partially unsealed version of the opinion follows. Heritage Foundation, or should I say Heritage, as he says here, moved for reconsideration in October. Our team at the whatever that is republished a Law 360 article about this. On February 13th, 2025, the judge granted a motion to reconsideration in part, agreeing he should have given consideration to what portions of the government's in camera non-secret declaration. Oh, that's kind of small. Transcript of should be made public. Okay. Okay, that's kind of small. What was I thinking? Let me see if I can make that bigger. Okay. So Heritage's second argument stands on firmer ground. Heritage contends that the court should have decided whether portions of those declarations could be made public in redacted form. Well, they got their redacted form. Accordingly, the court ordered the government to provide it no later than February 20th, 2025. Its position on whether on whether and to what extent the declarations it provided in camera. The transcript of the camera hearing, the court's August 15th, 2024 order, and or additional parts of the memorandum opinion can be redacted and made available to Heritage. Following that submission, the court will determine what portions of the material can be produced to Heritage form and will be thereafter determined whether additional briefs are necessary or additional relief is warranted. That's all, folks. We're just going to get some insight into the government's argument and maybe some more of the opinion ruling against Heritage. I like this guy. I like him. He really cut to the chase. Okay. And so in closing, let me see here. Yeah, there we go. Sorry, but the notion we're getting Prince Harry's immigration record is fake news. I repeat, the notion we're getting Prince Harry's immigration record is fake news. A full write-up here. Well, you can see that. And here's the Department of Homeland Security filing. As explained yesterday, just some declarations and ex parte orders and a hearing transcript, all heavily redacted, no visa file or immigration record. Okay, no visa file or immigration record. All right. You know what? I got to go get some water. I don't have any water sitting here with me. I'll be right back. Okay, I'm back. I love that. Heavily redacted. That should be the name of a rock band. Ladies and gentlemen, heavily redacted. Yes, they look like a fool. Several of them. Now, this is very bizarre. Did Prince Archie and Princess Lilibet just make an adorable waffle version of Queen Elizabeth's face? You know what? I did not see that. I did not see that. I looked at it, but I was not thinking Queen Elizabeth at all. Now, SK said, I kid you not, a reputable magazine has run with it. 2 years they've not spoken about the late Queen who served them for 70 years. It only took the Green Kids waffle for her to be remembered. The obsession with what Meghan does will be studied in years to come because this isn't normal. There's nothing about this that's normal. A reputable magazine, Marie Claire, is begging the question: did Archie and Lily create Queen Elizabeth waffles? One of the trolls says, if Meghan was not mocking Her Majesty Queen Elizabeth, again, she needs to come out and correct the rumors because this is an outrage, an absolute, utter outrage. Henry VIII says this is mental illness. Harry married a Black American, and middle aged white royalists literally lost their minds. You could not make this up. You could not make this up. Now, where was Marie Claire when Queen Elizabeth said, 1992 is a year that I shan't look back upon with undiluted pleasure. It was a horrible anus. Where were they at when 1992 happened? Did they write about that? Oh, okay, okay. So it doesn't help that someone did that. Someone actually took the time to fuse the Queen's image with that of the green waffle image. See, it's stuff like this that is going to bring this situation to a head. I know, I know. Corporate needs you to find the difference between this picture and this picture. Royalists, they're the same picture. Uh, and then, of course, everybody wants to be a detective. Royal fans, and this is actually, of course, in the it's in one of the tabloids. Royal fans claim they've spotted something suspicious about Meghan's green themed St. Patrick Day waffle. If you notice on the left side, Kellogg's has created a dragon waffle. Now, the dragon waffle has 8 sides to it. It's not a round waffle, it has those 8 sides to it. So, certainly that is not the Kellogg's dragon waffle. But what they're looking at is that the waffle that was given to Prince Archie and Princess Lilibet has no segments. In other words, it doesn't have that deep groove that separates it into four parts. I cannot believe that I am doing a forensic study of a waffle, but that's exactly what I'm doing. So, segment lines in the mold, no segment lines on the Archie and Lily waffles. And again, I cannot believe we're having this conversation. But some crackpot, intrepid, investigative deranger wants to make a case out of this. Now, let's take a look at the video from yesterday, shall we? Let's take a look at yesterday's video. Okay. Okay, here goes. Oh, there it is right there. All right. So I've submit to you Exhibit A. There are segments in that waffle iron. And by the way, that particular waffle maker is said to be discontinued. You cannot buy it brand new. Now, you see the evidence there? Segment waffles. Now, and of course, that says, and us, happy St. Patrick's Day. So these waffles are the ones that were served to Prince Harry as well as the Duchess of Sussex. Now compare that to the waffles that were not. Now, this is some of the most jarring evidence that I have seen to date. How did they expect to get away with this? Could it be that the Duke and Duchess of Sussex, whose you know financials are that they're rich? Could it be possible that they have not one but two waffle makers? Is it possible that someone's heard about Archie's love of waffles? Waffles? And maybe they purchased another one and gifted it to the Sussexes? Or perhaps they just bought one because they didn't want to make those larger. They didn't want to make those larger waffles for the children. So they got a smaller waffle maker. It is possible that they could have two of them. How about that? Some people just got too much time on their hands. Way too much time on their hands. If Meghan was not mocking Her Majesty Queen Elizabeth again, then she needs to come out and correct the rumors because this is outrageous. Well, good luck with that. Royalists lost the plot over, lose the plot, lost the plot over over a waffle. End up with mocking the Queen. The Royalists have finally outdone themselves this time by claiming a waffle is an attack on the late Queen Elizabeth II. Yes, a green St. Patrick's Day waffle decorated with whipped cream hair and blueberry eyes, with whipped cream hair and blueberry eyes, has sent them into a meltdown mode, with some of them insisting Meghan Markle created it as a dig at Her Majesty. Let's pause for a second. These same people who demand respect for the late Queen are now suggesting she looks like a neon green breakfast item with kiwi mouth. with kiwi mouth. um the real insult to Elizabeth II isn't Meghan's cooking, but the fact that her so-called supporters have reduced her to an internet meme over a dessert. The Queen ruled for 70 years, and this is her legacy? A waffle conspiracy? If anyone is ridiculing her looks, it is not Meghan. It is the people now foaming, that is, at the mouth over their own absurd delusions. Royalist takes a breath. You've officially lost the plot. And some of the people in the comments said, "Great catch. I just noticed that in another photo, the waffle is in two sections. So phony. I thought it was four sections, but okay. Her kids' waffles look like colored Egos, not homemade at all." Another person says, "Definitely not the waffle maker she's trying to pretend. They would have been a lot thicker, and the section." I'm sorry. I'm sorry. I couldn't hold it. They would have been a lot thicker, and the sections would have been like this. I can't believe she thinks people are dumb. Really? You can't believe it? And then another person says, "Good eye. Why does she waste her time since everything she does is so cringe?"
Older than a lot of people on here, and I remember this group of royals from 30, 45 years ago. The royals were not a family that really made news here. They were considered very uptight and stodgy. However, when Charles decided to marry Diana, everything changed for them. She was a very relatable princess, and she put them on the map. When Diana died, the whole world went into mourning for her. It was the most incredible outpouring of love and support I have ever witnessed in my life. It took 6 days for Queen Elizabeth to address the public because the royal family was in complete shock. They thought she was an embarrassment and they wanted her gone, only to find out that she was actually the most beloved royal of all. Diana had a very difficult marriage with Charles because he was having affairs throughout their marriage. Not just one affair, but he had many. The most notable one is with Camilla. Now, tell me, do you not think it's a little perverse that many years later, he ends up bringing Camilla into the royal family amongst the children that he had with Diana? I mean, in what world would this be normal? There's also some speculation that the royal family had something to do with Diana's demise, but we'll never know that for sure. So let's talk about Andrew, the brother of Charles. You know, the guy who's associated with Jeffrey Epstein and the underage girls. You do realize that there was a lawsuit, and well, I guess Andrew didn't fare well because then the Queen removed him and banned him from royal duties for the rest of his life. Now, if he had been a commoner, he would have been in jail for 20 years. He got off easy. So, how come none of you feel the need to harass him online? Because he deserves it, frankly. Then we have William, the brother of Harry. Now, supposedly he's had an affair as well. Doesn't surprise me, like father, like son. So, is it true? I don't know. I can't say for sure, but it is believable. So, for all those people that like to spew hate toward Meghan Markle, I say kudos to her for getting her family away from this dysfunctional, criminal, entitled royal family. She is actually the smartest one of all.
Okay. She said what she said.
Older than a lot of people on
Okay.
here.
So, if you would like to check out her TikTok, her name is Nolan Realtor. Nolan Realtor. I wonder if that means New Orleans. Nolan Realtor with two N's at the beginning. So, yeah, she said what she said. And there has been an awakening, you guys. There has been an awakening. Even though a lot of like weird people, comedians, butchers, bakers, candlestick makers, people I've never heard of. I said the other day that they have been scraping the barrel trying to find anyone to criticize Meghan. And then, of course, they have been banking on this whole Heritage Foundation nonsense as a way to I guess make Harry's life miserable. Even Dr. what's his name? Pemberton, even Dr. Pimpleton, whatever his name is, they even get him out to say something every so often. It has been a who's who of who can we get to say something negative about Harry and Meghan. They have tried to find every possible cook, chef, restaurateur, and food critic to criticize a single pan, single skillet spaghetti, a spaghetti dish. They have they almost not exactly, but you guys remember the dress? What color is this dress? Is it blue or is it black or is it gray or whatever? You remember that dress? Now that got a lot of traction. They I won't say that they've done that with the spaghetti only because this has only been going on for what, 2 weeks? And that dress thing, oh my god, that seemed to linger on the palate. But they want the spaghetti to continue for months, if not years. They want people to debate spaghetti, a very simple recipe. Such is the Meghan effect that you could take the most innocuous thing and make it into something huge just for clickbait, just for engagement, using the same tropes: bombshell, cringe, word salad. You know, they always have something. Um, well, I won't say anymore because those things trigger me. But they always have something to add. And is there an end to it? I don't know. As long as it makes money, I don't suppose we'll ever see the end of it. Yeah, I mean, there's no reason to believe that they don't have multiple waffle makers. They may have at least two of them. The ones that have the four sections, that's kind of like going to a restaurant and getting chicken and waffles, and they bring this big thing out. Um, if you want to make a face, you can't use the section waffle maker to do that. You would need something smaller. So I would suspect that they have two. But the tabloid media are here to encourage the derangers, not to reason with them, not to point out any possibilities, right? You know, today I was listening to some kid that mentioned, let me see if I can recall this. It was something to do with the Orange Menace, with the occupant of the White House, saying, breaking news, such a thing happened. Now, if this kid wanted to be responsible, he would point out the fact that the only reason why that was breaking news is because the public is being distracted by the invasion of Greenland, by the annexation of Canada, by the dumping of migrants to um, whatever country that is, sanctions on this, and all of those things. So today's breaking story was the president of the United States tweeted that he was going to take Secret Service away from Joe Biden's children, citing one of them is on vacation. It just doesn't make sense. Whether or not that is going to happen, I don't know. Whether or not he has the authority to do that, I don't know. But what I do know for certain is that that is just another distraction so that we don't pay attention to high prices and the stock market, um, losing $1 trillion and all that kind of stuff. A lot of that stuff is just distraction, people. That is a distraction. You guys do not get pulled into it. Whether it does or does not happen, there's not a whole lot we could do about it anyway. But many of these things are said they're not even said, they're tweeted. Policy is being tweeted so that we look the other way. And that's why you have to be really, really careful, because we're going to get this all day, every day, for possibly the next, well, just shy of 4 years. I pray we don't, but that seems to be the direction it's going. Every day is more bad news, more bad news. He did this, he did that. If it gets to be too much, please turn it off. Just turn it off. You cannot fight this battle alone. And you are not going to stop anything because you have allowed this negative information to infiltrate your peace, your fortress of solitude. And I was thinking when that kid said that, right? Some young kid, I said to myself, why don't you explain to people that this is a distraction? Citing the name Hunter Biden and Ashley Biden is a distraction. But he didn't say that because it's like microdosing some type of toxin. A lot of the people, they ring these alarm bells about something like that only to string you along, just to keep you going. And you have to be very careful of that. Mm. Yeah. Yeah. Well, like I said, we as individuals cannot take on these things, and we have to try to create some peace um, away from that stuff. But I have to say that you don't even have to look for it. This stuff finds you. These breaking stories, breaking news, this and that, those things will find you. And the so-called liberal press, they're not on our side. They're not trying to do anything to help. As a matter of fact, they're the ones who put them there. I'll give you another good example. They're eating cats, they're eating dogs. The whole point of that was Kamala had a great night. And so, to make sure that Kamala was not the focus after the debate, all people were talking about is who's eating a cat and who's eating a dog. It is so simplistic and yet so effective. Now, I was not buying that. I didn't think it was true. And people say, oh, he's crazy. He's crazy. Did you hear what he said? They want you to believe that he's crazy. He's crazy. But that was calculated so that the next day, all people spoke about was him. Media literacy, that has become increasingly important, is media literacy. Also, do verify things. We discussed this before. All kinds of stuff can pop up on your phone. And some of the worst things that should be illegal are not. People can just say whatever they want. Immediately go to a legacy media that you trust and verify that those stories are true. Verify that so and so is deceased. Verify those things because they're not interested in truth, they're interested in engagement. And to maintain our sanity, we have to verify these things. And we have to tune out some of these people because they're abusers. They are abusing your peace with all of these negative things all day long. They are abusing your peace. Don't let them do that. Don't let me do that. There are people that step away from the Sussex universe, and your mental health and well being comes first. Not me, not the other content creators. You. You come first. Don't forget that. So, right here it says they brutalized her. It was horror. They had no clue what the public that the public liked her better than any of them. And this, of course, is speaking of Princess Diana. Diana put that family on the map. I didn't know about Edward. I didn't know about Andrew. It was so many things that I learned about on Princess Diana's wedding day. All the little protocols, the little history and such. I learned about it that day. And likewise, as much as they appear to be threatened by Meghan and Harry, the truth is they need them to remain relevant. That's the only thing that's keeping them relevant. Judge Nichols must have remembered the same thing as this lady, because reading between the lines of his decision, it was giving, y'all are trying to Princess Diana, Prince Harry, and I'm not having it. Now, I thought that was very interesting because if you recall, the judge said that certain things could leave, in this case, Prince Harry, open to harassment, media intrusion, among other things. So think about that. Think about that. Let's go back to that, to the judge's decision. Let me see, where was that at? Nope, not there. Oh, there it is right there. To release his exact status could subject him to reasonably foreseeable harm in the form of harassment, as well as unwanted contact by the media and others. See how that works out? To release his exact status could subject him to reasonably foreseeable harm in the form of harassment, as well as unwanted contact by the media and others. So, in other words, it seems as though, and I don't want to put words in Judge Nichols' mouth, but as they say, must have remembered the same thing as this lady, because reading between the lines of his decision, it was giving, y'all are trying to Princess Diana, Harry. And let's not forget Meghan. And I'm not having it. Interesting, isn't it? Very interesting. So I'm just going to say, partially, it is the legal precedents that they want to avoid. And the other part of it is the fact that it can cause mishaps, hostility, that it could actually cause hostility against Prince Harry. You know, a friend of mine, it seems like they're not convinced when I say this, but I'll say it again. Those are some very dangerous people. And not just the Heritage Foundation. I'm speaking of the royal family. They're dangerous people. That institution, the men in gray, they're dangerous. Camilla Godzilla, dangerous. Parties who parties who do not have permission from the beneficiary to receive this information, to release such information would potentially expose the individuals to harm from, it was right here, from members of the public who might have a reason to manipulate or harass individuals depending on their status in the United States. Oh, this is a little different. Further, USCIS determined that to release this specific information for the Duke, to release this exact status could subject him to reasonably foreseeable harm in the form of harassment as well as unwanted contact by the media and others. So I like this Judge Nichols. Very, very wise. Very wise. Now, the other day, we spoke about the Statue of Liberty, the request to return it. Well, maybe they won't have to ask the United States for it. Maybe they just need to buy her a plane ticket, because you can see right here, we've got a desperate woman seeking asylum who is fleeing intolerable conditions. Yeah, at any given time, Lady Liberty may just decide to walk north to Canada. We may not have the opportunity to send her back or to give her back. She may just leave. Poor thing has been through hell. Speaking of a woman who's been through hell, Princess Kate lets slip what she really thinks about William's beard. Does she not understand that she is the beard? What part of you are the beard don't you get? Huh? Why don't you get that? You may very well be the beard. There's the beard on the face, and then there's the beard that helps you save face. See there? A two-face. The beard on the face and the beard that helps you save face. So either way, we're speaking of more than just one beard, and a two-face at that. So see what I did there? Do you like the way I worked that in there? Thank you. I knew you'd be impressed. So let us end with some images of Prince Harry and the United States flag. It seemed like it was destiny that brought Prince Harry to these United States, and in particular to California, a place where he might breathe free. Yes, I believe that too. I believe that too. Yep, I believe that too. I believe that there was a destiny. Two people at a particular place in their lives found each other, and what they have together is absolutely incredible. Absolutely incredible. Amazing. So it was meant to be. It was meant to be. I got to share these for the derangers. I got to go on my Twitter and post all these images of Harry and the U.S. flag for the sake of the derangers, to give them the headache they deserve. Yeah, to give them the headache that they deserve. That migraine that feels like their whole top of their head is wide open. USA, USA. Look at there. Harry is being wrapped, enveloped in the flag. That's what I'm talking about. That's what I'm talking about. All right, you guys, thank you very much. I don't know how we got to 2 hours, but thank you guys for your input. Very valuable. I don't think there is any one single answer to these things, but definitely everybody sees things differently. Some of us see things the same. And of course, some of the information is quite fluid because, you know, as throughout the day, it seems like certain things change. So, but eventually we'll get there. We always get there. So, that is the bottom line. The truth will come out. So, love you guys. Thank you very much. Thank you, moderators. Thank you to everyone who has a membership in with Royal Sussex, and thank you always, Geraldine White, who's been a long time member, and Dorothy Ross, and gosh, a whole bunch of people. I'm trying to think who haven't I not seen lately. Um, I guess eventually Elaine Parker will find us en route to the loo. Um, and who else? The ladies Sussex, George, and Charles for the great show that they had Sunday. Yes, no bad energy. No bad energy. Remember, you guys, avoid these abusive tweets and news things and such, because it's not good for you. It's not good for you. It's not good for any of us. Oh, C Mac, member for 34 months. Thank you so much for that. 34 months membership. I declare that is impressive. Karen Williams, good night to you too. Isn't that weird? Now that I'm done, my voice is coming back. Isn't that weird? Susie Mom, let me see. I have to say good night, everybody. It is after 1:30 a.m. where I am at. Where I'm at. I'm like, don't you know where you at? But you're saying it's 1:30. I thought you were asking me. I was like, don't you know? Let me see. It was a pleasure sharing with the wonderful Baron and Sussex Squad community. Take much care. Thank you so much for that. Good night, Creative Life. Uh-huh. Exactly. Exactly. I just pray that we get to the other side of what's happening. I pray that people will become exhausted of this abuse once and for all. Um, if I see one more person on the internet that says, that's not what I voted for, yes, you did. Yes, you did. That is what you voted for. And because of that, we all have to suffer or not. Also, you guys, let's lift up everyone who is either in the hospital, recovering. Let's uplift them with prayer. It is something about those squatty prayers that seem to do some amazing things. They seem to do some amazing things. Oh, sinuses, huh? Yeah, absolutely. And if we ever ignore that, then we'll really have problems. Being a nation, because you know what, law, what's so important about law, not just, civil society, but in order for people to feel confident enough to invest, to open businesses, or even to pay taxes, you have to have stability. And putting a chaos agent where there should be a steady hand, I don't know how that benefits anybody, but there's some people that seem to believe that that's what we need right now, and unfortunately, somebody else's rock bottom pulls down the rest of the household. You know, but that's the thing, is that when enough people hit rock bottom, that's when I believe that we'll truly see common sense prevail. But for now, as long as we have SUVs, big screen televisions, and all of those things, as long as we have all that, then we haven't really hit the bottom yet. And I don't want to get that low for things to improve. I hope it doesn't come to that. Yeah, I hope it doesn't come to that. No legs. Oh, I was about to say no legs tonight. People are sick of this abuse after 9 years. How long can they go? Aren't they tired? It makes them look stupid, petty, and jealous. What a waste. Harry and Meghan are thriving away from the rotten institution, from that rotten institution. Yeah, yeah. Harry and Meghan, they were the escape I needed from what was happening, with those other people. They were my escape. Good night, Team Warrior. Thank you so much for being here. But yeah, legs. I have to say, um, I agree with you in that um, I really think people are just like so fatigued, so sick of all of that stuff. The culture war. A lot of it has to do with the culture war. And I thought that after the election that transgender people um that they would leave them alone. But I was wrong. It seems like they're tightening the screws. Um and of course the usual scapegoat, anyone who has an accent, undocumented, documented, whatever. Um I really do feel for immigrants, migrants. And the other day, I was listening to a space on Twitter, and I kept hearing someone say, illegals, illegals. To be here undocumented is not a felony, it's a misdemeanor. To step to the border and ask for asylum is not against the law, but they lump everyone into this category of illegal and undocumented. And those who do have documents, they don't really care how you got here. That you're here seems to be a problem. And just as I said with Harry, this man has a family. They are harassing this man who has a family just as much as this whole notion that you have children wondering, are we going to be able to stay here? Are they going to make us leave? Children shouldn't have to feel that kind of insecurity. I don't care how their parents got here. They shouldn't have to feel that insecurity. It makes them second-class citizens, even if they were born here. And yet I hear so many people in that position of superiority, including Black people. I hear so many of them throwing that around because it has been repeated over and over again. People believe that it's almost as if anyone who is foreign or foreign born has broken the law. You think of them as a lawbreaker first because of what we hear about certain groups day after day after day. And it just breaks my heart. It really does. That breaks my heart. Creative life. Oh my God. I say that all the time. It seems like cruelty is the point. Yes. It seems like cruelty is the point. There's no greater point than how cruel can we be? Yeah, and as much as Harry has done in terms of service and the fact that that abusive institution, that abusive family that he comes from, they take the word of the institution, even though we all know what happened to Princess Diana, the way that they treated Diana. And yet, there are still people that will take the word of the institution above anything else. We know what the institution is capable of. We've seen it. Diana spoke about it. Fergie spoke about it. And now, and Charles spoke about it. King Charles III, as the Prince of Wales, he spoke about it. But when it comes to Harry, when it comes to Meghan, are you sure that's what happened? Maybe you just didn't understand. I mean, they accused the Sussexes of elder abuse. Elder abuse. I mean, they have done that. They have accused Harry and Meghan of elder abuse. Say nothing of William, who missed quite a few important dates on the calendar because he just didn't feel like being there. And I'm not talking about recently. I'm talking about while the Queen and Philip were working. Say nothing of Charles and Camilla with that visit to the Queen just before she was made ill from the pandemic. And what do? Oh, there seemed to be an outbreak in the royal household. Outbreak my ass. We know where that came from. It may have even been an accident. I wouldn't doubt if someone said it was done deliberately. Yeah, absolutely. Absolutely. Because they could stop a lot of this stuff today, tomorrow. They could put a stop to it. They could put a stop to it. What gets me though is that William and Kate are the real whiners. William, who turns to his lawyers at the drop of a hat, that's someone who's whining about the way he's been treated or the way that Kitty has been treated, right? He goes to his lawyers. The Sussexes aren't supposed to do that. William and Kate, they don't like the headlines in the paper. And we've seen time and time again where the newspapers are threatened and the headline changes. And we know this because we have screenshots of before and after headlines. And that is the palace wielding their power. They don't like all the images of Coronation Day, so the palace gives authorized items that can be shared from henceforth. Certain things are to never be seen again, like empty parks with a jumbotron that costs thousands of dollars just so that a couple of people can sit in a lawn chair, or empty streets. They shortened the parade route to Westminster Abbey because of a lack of enthusiasm. It almost sounds like the president of the United States who had his oath take place indoors because there were not enough hotels sold out, meaning you're not going to have a crowd. So rather than risk embarrassment, let's just say, oh, it's cold. We're going to do this indoors. Interesting how that aligns with Charles on his coronation day and Donnie on his inauguration day. Yeah, you know what, Legs, I believe that the idea of this cautionary tale, which is, how I described the Queen and Margaret, um, the Queen's father and the Duke of Windsor, Charles, and to a minor extent, what's his name? Not Edward, but Andrew. The cautionary tale. And then, of course, Diana. Don't be like Diana. Be more like Kate. Have no personality whatsoever. Just grin. And now it is try to be more like William. Don't be like Harry. And a lot of the mistreatment, that goes into the file, and they will remind people using a documentary, using some revisionist history exercise, like articles about things that happened 3, 4, 5 years ago, and they bring it up again. And it is a way to gaslight people into obedience. So they're going to use the mistreatment that they have been waging, the abuse that they have been waging against Harry and Meghan. They're going to use that for George, Charlotte, and Louis. They're going to remind them that this is what happened when you strayed too far away from our control. We're going to hound you. They're going to use that. I really do believe they will use that. And you guys, for years, there's going to be one documentary after the other. There already has been, of course, but they're going to do so many documentaries about Harry and Meghan. And I hope that more of them are favorable than a bunch of, nonsense. And I hope that they will use some American media people instead of being dependent upon those usual suspects. Because I have watched some documentaries and I'm just like, eh. And so I started watching it, something about the Queen Elizabeth or something like that. And then all of a sudden, there's Robert Jobson, there's Camilla Tominey, there's Arthur Edwards. I'm like, oh, I just turn it off. I do. I switch it off. I'm just like, I already know how the story's going to end anyway. There'll be some little interesting facts and things like that. But I can't get to it because it means I have to deal with the royal reporters, the royal rota. And I'm at the point now when I see them or I hear their voices, I feel like I lose the taste in my mouth. I cannot stand the sight of them. I really cannot stand the sight of them. So it's there is a lot of appeal around the world for um films and documentaries about the British aristocracy, about the royal family, about Princess Diana, and they have been attempting so many times to make Charles and Camilla sympathetic, practically heroes, which is the exercise that we call the crown. That's what they were doing with the crown. They made the queen, and I'm not trying to be shady, but they made the queen sound way more intelligent than what she was. You would have thought Queen Elizabeth was a Rhodes Scholar. Oh, she was so wise and so thoughtful and so charismatic and so stern when necessary. Uh, yeah, that is fiction. As a matter of fact, it's science fiction. It bears no resemblance to real life. I'm not saying that she didn't have her qualities, but this idea that Queen Elizabeth was so worldly, able to challenge these prime ministers and put them on the right path with her breeding and experience. BS. Legs, I wonder if Jeannie Bond isn't actually trying to save them from themselves. I don't doubt that she sees the writing on the wall, but I do wonder, is there someone in that institution that is in that discuss the future with Jeannie Bond, hoping that her experience and her you know, esteem as a royal reporter expert has someone on the inside of the institution, whether it's a family member or perhaps one of the men in gray, somebody who, by all outward appearances, is just as ridiculous as the rest of the group, but away from the nonsense. Maybe there's a minority of people that realize that if we don't stop this vindictive behavior, there's going to be a great deal of interest in that institution that is lost because they've already lost a whole generation. People seem to believe that, well, older people, they believe that all of the young people that are against the royal family, that do not believe in monarchy, that are for open and free elections for a head of state, they believe that those young people will become older and quite naturally become more conservative. And conservative people tend to believe in monarchy. I think they're underestimating the independent spirit of this younger generation. See, when Queen Elizabeth became queen, churches were more visited, right? There were more people going to church. There were more people who believed in the royal family. There were more people who believe in this idea that the British Empire is still as big as it was 200 years ago. But the younger generation, they see it for what it is. We have shrunk down to just a few countries on an island, and the other countries see themselves as independent of England um, and Northern Ireland. It's not the great empire that it was, but yet they pretend that they're still relevant in the greater world. And it's just not the case. It is just not the case. The BRICS are coming. The BRICS, not the Brits, the BRICS. BRI, what is it, CS? The BRICS. Brazil. What's the other countries? Brazil starts with an R. Anyway, India, yeah, that's the I. Countries that are not going to depend on the United States, that they have a trade zone within that collection. And China, I believe, is one of them, but they're going to trade independent of the United States. And very soon, a great deal of the wealth that is, with the G7 is going to move to the BRICS. So even the United States in the future will not be that important. And that is just a fact. Well, thank you for that. You guys, if it wasn't for the mistreatment of Meghan, I would not be sitting here talking about them right now. But there's no part of me that will witness an American woman of African descent being mistreated and abused by that institution or any other, and I don't feel something about it. That's just there's no mechanism for that. None. Especially, I mean, there are some people that I will not mention, but you probably know that I wouldn't feel so inclined to stick up for them. But we know for certain that there has never been an issue with Meghan as a team member, as a team player. And I do believe that when Meghan stepped away from the TIG, when Meghan moved her life to the UK, when I was the age that Meghan was, I was ready for something different. It wasn't a matter of what Meghan was giving up. Meghan was ready to start a family. She found a guy that was just as much, if not more, the philanthropist, the humanitarian, someone who could match her equal, if you will. And he just happened to be a prince. And I do believe that from a very young age that Meghan wanted to do public service. Acting was just something that happened along the way. But her greater intention was to do exactly what she's doing right now. And there's a lot of people that refuse to believe that because you have people calling her gold digger and this and that. But Harry didn't have any money. He had money in a trust and such. She had her own money. She had her own money. So she was ready for something else. And it's a great platform. The royal family has a huge platform. And for anyone who can deal with their nonsense, you would have a platform like none other. Although if you're Sophie Wessex, it doesn't mean anything because nobody knows that. Did you guys know she was in New York last week? Did you guys know that she was in New York last week? If that was Meghan leaving that wicked, horrible family and going away on business to New York City, we wouldn't have heard the end of it yet. It would have been a whole nother week of coverage. No different than when they went to Nigeria. No different than when they went to Colombia. No different than when they went to Canada, The Hague, Dusseldorf. And that's the stuff they've done since they left the institution. They have a star quality and they complement each other. They're good together. They're great together. I don't think people say that just for the sake of impressing them. They say it because it's true. Let's see here. They didn't anticipate the Sussex squad. They didn't expect us to see our hopes in Meghan, but recognize the all too familiar racist hate. We all saw the hate. Thank you very much for the super chat, Legs. And yeah, that I'm so glad you reminded us about that. That is one of the most important factors is that the Sussex squad. You guys, we have no idea the reach of the Sussex squad. We have no idea. We could only guess. But whether they call themselves a squatty or not. Thousands of people, thousands of people are trying recipes, sprinkling flowers, buying cookware, and everybody is making money along the way. They're all making money. Even, what was it, Waitrose? Even Waitrose. They're all making money. What kind of pasta sales have there been lately? Cherry tomatoes. And hell, I went and bought flowers today. I went and bought flowers today. I haven't done that since the Oprah Winfrey show. I have not been that inspired or this inspired since Oprah Winfrey. I kid you not. I'm like, I'm going to get some flowers. That is the Meghan effect. And they're so threatened by that. They're so threatened by that. And what makes it so unfair is that they're punishing Harry and Meghan for being good at what they do, for being popular, for being well received by people, by any group, any place. People gravitate toward them, whether they're together or separate. How many times has Harry heard, "Where's your wife?" Oh, okay. Well, she couldn't make it. So and so, so and so. The kids, such and such and such and such. Oh, not that they're not glad to see Harry, but the idea of it, Meghan. Now, if Meghan can maintain that much power, that much popularity through the haze of lies and gaslighting, just imagine if there was none of that. And I don't hate Kate. And sometimes I do feel sorry for her. And that doesn't mean that I would take away anything that has, you know, taught her life lessons, if you know what I mean. I wouldn't take that away from her. I would not shield her from her own nonsense. But I look at someone who is broken and they're still clinging to their feelings of superiority or main character syndrome. Main character syndrome. That is the word that I learned, or the phrase I've learned for 2025. Suffering from main character syndrome. It's got to be humiliating to go someplace and they sit you at a table with children because you do not have the ability to hold a conversation with a room full of adults. So they literally put you at the kiddie table. That's how broken she is. And that is what they wanted for Meghan. That is what they wanted for Meghan. And if there's anything that the power elites in Britain, meaning, of course, the military, their science, people, business people, if there's anything that they're good at, that is gaslighting. The aristocrats, gaslighting. And they took that act, they took that show on the road. And every place that the East India Company, the British Empire, every place that they've gone, every place they conquered, they created a class system. They have pitted one group against the other. I don't know that any other country has done such a, and I don't mean, individuals, I mean the power elites, the military, even the clergy was involved with it. I don't know anybody else that has been so effective at turning one group against the other. I don't know I cannot think of another place, another society, another country that has been so successful at dividing another country. And the greatest export? Racism. Racism. Not the Jaguar, not the Rolls Royce, not tea, not Wedgwood, not Waterford Crystal. Racism. That is the greatest export. Not Earl Grey, racism. But I tell you guys, as an American, we can be very abusive to each other. There's too many guns. There's too many egos. There's a lot of things that is in need of fixing in this country. But when you read about, or if you look at some of those documentaries and you see the way the poor, the homeless, the orphans were treated in any country, it's enough to break your heart. But in particular, during the Victorian age, when they had those kids in those factories, um, especially the ones that worked where they weaved fabric, then they had to get inside of those machines and such. If you're an orphan, they'd either put you in the Navy if you're a boy, and if you're a girl, you had to go into service in some house or work for some family or fend for yourself. I mean, if they treated their own kids like that, imagine what would happen when they get to the Americas. We don't have to imagine. I mean, we know the history. That's why I say the greatest export is racism and controlling masses of people. I don't know anybody who's been, not the Portuguese, not the Spanish, nobody. I don't know anybody who's been more successful and diabolical at the same time. Sonia Diana says, Baron and Squatties, thank you for making my night. Y'all took me away from me being unemployed federal employee to problems that are happening to my city. May God bless all. And thank you again. Sonia Diana, thank you so much for being here. And if there's anything that we've been able to do, we're glad for it. We're glad for it. I mean, the most important thing is that this is a safe space for any and everybody. He is proud of his wife's accomplishments. He isn't threatened by them. It is why the British media throw jabs at Harry about him being subservient to Meghan. Still doesn't bother him. It does. Well, and the other thing that it does is that it maintains hostility against Meghan. It makes her look like she's some type of bully. It maintains that hostility, and I believe that that is equally as important. It's important to humiliate Harry, and it's important to make people hostile against Meghan. It's a twofer. It is a twofer. But yeah, real time right now in this country, um, you have people that I mean, federal employees that were depending on their retirements, especially if you're just a few years away from retirement and you're threatened to take a buyout. It does seem like cruelty. Not even seems like it. I don't mean to say that. Cruelty is the point because it is very cruel. I believe that the 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 most actually, do you guys realize that the Trump White House has more, not just millionaires, but billionaires? There's other billionaires working in the White House. Other billionaires. Why are they there? Why would you even want to bother? And we have people that are fleecing the country as we speak. And by having anybody lose their jobs, it's an impact on the greater society. But I'm hearing that there is a surplus of available homes and apartments around Washington, D.C. right now. A surplus. I'm like, God, when will this end? Do you guys remember the first Trump administration? There was someone he didn't like that was days away from from their full retirement or something like that, and they were terminated out of spite. They were terminated so that they could lose their pension or lose the full amount of their pension. Now, I believe that they did something about that later on after they got that monster out of there. But for the person who is a true patriot that was standing up for their country, the misery, the despair, um, the fear of losing everything that you worked for. I'm not so taken back by what the people that, including the president, Trump, that he did that. What bothers me is that so many other Americans are okay with it. They are okay with this daily dose of abuse. They're okay with it. They're cheering him on. It's what do they call it? Insult to injury. And what I don't get is that a lot of these people that they're going after, they have worked more than 4 years. Some of them have been in government for 20 years. But it was okay 5 years ago. Now they say it's too many people. And so we as a country, we're going to lose services. There will be no one to expedite things in the government. There's be no one to answer the phones. You can't get through to this department and that department. And it seems like that is what they want. Just like they tried to destroy the post office. What was it, 5 years ago? They tried to destroy the post office. They took something that wasn't broke and they broke it. And yet they put those people right back in there. I don't have the words. I don't have the words. Mm. Oh, well, don't worry about it. Don't worry about it. A lot of that is just talk. It's just talk. And then too, the derangers, they lie. They lie because they want to demoralize the Sussex squad. They want us to. They, in other words, they're trying to wipe the smile off your face. Don't pay them any attention, especially if it's coming from, just they can make anything sound legitimate and true, right? They'll put all the right words together, but I wouldn't worry about it. Connie Bomber! Connie Bomber, do you know someone from Switzerland sent me a box? I got a box from Switzerland today. Did you know that? Did you know that I got a box from Switzerland? Yeah, I got a box from Switzerland. And it talks. It actually talks. See? Yeah, that is a sound from Switzerland. I don't know what they're saying, but that is a sound from Switzerland. It sounds like a calf, or yeah. Do you know what they're saying? Oh my goodness. And let me investigate. Let me investigate. First of all, the box is beautiful. It is beautiful. And anyway, it's just like layers of things in it. I absolutely love it. So if you run into that person from Switzerland, would you please tell them how much I'm enjoying this? Isn't that cute? Oh boy. I love it. Oh, it's an alpine sheep. That is what I'm hearing. It's an alpine sheep. That is cute. I love it. That is what I'm hearing is an alpine sheep. I didn't know they were so vocal, but I love it. So if you run into that person, would you please tell them I said thank you? Yeah. Don't worry about that. You guys, anytime something good happens for the Sussexes, anytime they have any kind of victory, those people will lie to try and have the last word. Don't worry about it. There are so many more things that are so much more urgent. A lot of it is just a coercion and such from people that are just shady, but don't worry about that. They want you to feel despair. I mean, for days and days and days, they have been trashing with love Meghan, even though it's a huge success. And one of the most unimpeachable things that happened is Meghan knocked Joe Rogan off of his throne. Joe Rogan was undefeated for a long time. That's why I say the Sussex squad is much bigger than we realize because it did not take long for Meghan to actually outperform Joe Rogan, the most popular, um, probably the most popular English language podcast there is. And yet, Meghan knocked him off his throne, took him down a peg or two. And they were saying what a failure it was. And I'll never forget Camilla Tominey. She says, Meghan is finally going to learn that not everybody wants to hear what she has to say. Well, that was before Archetypes was, what awards was it? The Image Award? No, was it that? No, no, no. Oh gosh, the Gracie Award winning. And the children's book, oh, they condemned Bench. And then it became a New York Times bestseller. So don't pay attention, especially if it's a podcast. Well, not podcast, but another YouTube channel. Don't pay them people no attention. If they knew what was going on, um, they'd be on television. They'd be a royal reporter. They wouldn't just be on some other YouTube channel. I don't pay those people no attention. They're not the last word. Yes, People's Choice Award and the Gracie Award. Thank you. People's Choice and Gracie Award, while simultaneously declaring that you know what? I almost started cussing. It's 3 hours in, you guys. I'm going to say goodnight. I'm looking at the thing. I'm just like 3 hours, 6 minutes. I'm fixing to go. I'm fixing to go. Mary had a little lamb whose fleece was white as snow. And everywhere that she would go, the lamb would start to follow. See, I got some important things to do tonight, you guys. I'm finna go. I got a box to dig into. You see what I'm saying? I got some pressing, urgent things to take care of tonight. So, y'all have to excuse me. Okay. I got some important things to do. So, good night. God bless. And thank you all so much for watching Royal Sussex.